Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm with this time of year, with the holiday season coming up, I think it's a good time to just re-attack or readdress the issue of now versus the future. It is so easy in this moment right now, today, to think that everything that's going on is what's going to be the rest of your life. I think it's very similar to if you get injured. You know, you break a leg or you cut yourself or whatever the physical injury might be. It hurts a lot right in the moment, right? You are singularly focused on the pain that you're feeling right now in this moment. And, you know, maybe sometimes you think it's going to feel that way forever. Like I know for me, I have back problems, and every once in a while I'll throw my back out really, really bad. And I'll go through this phase where I'm like, oh my God, what if this is the one time where it won't get better? And I've had some times in the past 15, 20 years where I've been out for, at one point I was out of work for almost a month because of my back. And you can get caught up in that moment to where you feel like it's completely changed your life. There's no way to get over it, and that it's going to forever alter your future. Well, okay. In some ways that is true, right? When these things happen, it does alter our future, but typically that pain that you're feeling and the circumstances that you're feeling right now in the moment do not necessarily mean that that's what it's going to be forever. I mean, obviously, sometimes if you get into a serious accident and something is catastrophically damaged, that can be the case. And that's part of the problem with this, is that's how the mindset you start getting into is you start thinking and believing that there is no recovery from this, that it will always be this bad, that whatever the scenario is, it won't ever get any better. Typically in these type of situations, what you might be dealing with, and what a lot of people deal with early on, is you've been blindsided by your ex. Maybe you're dealing with an order of protection or a temporary protection order. This is very common during the holidays. It's a very common tactic. You find out your relationship's falling apart. Maybe you think, oh, okay, fine, we'll work on it. The next thing you know, you're being accused of being a monster. Maybe you've done something to where they think they can file an order of protection, and they're doing that. And now you're looking at it going, oh my God, I've lost, potentially you've been kicked out of your house. Maybe if you've gone to court already and when there's temporary orders, you're already losing most of your money in support payments. You're not getting to see your kids. Your entire world is crashing down. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there who are listening to this going, yeah, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. And in some ways, I can say that that's exactly kind of how I felt. Now, my situation was better than most, because the ex didn't want to drive the kids to school, so I got to see them. But all the other tactics were the same. I was being painted as a monster. I was being painted as an abusive person, somebody that the kids need to be protected from. I was just lucky that she didn't push it to the next level to completely eliminate any opportunity for me to interact with the kids. To be perfectly honest, I'm surprised she didn't. My point is this. Just because you're in the beginning parts of this and that's what you're dealing with right now, that does not mean that that's what's going to be forever. I know right now that pain is intense. And what you do in that first, basically that first year is really going to dictate how everything goes going forward. And what I mean is that here's the problem. This happens to you, your anxiety goes up, your stress goes up, your anger and frustration goes up. And now if you act on any of those things, if you act on impulse, if you react to an event, it can set up a scenario where you make a mistake, where you take the bait that your ex is throwing out there, you fall for it, and then they're able to use that action as evidence to demonstrate that this order of protection and this keep away is valid. Now, if you do make that mistake, that doesn't mean that you're completely lost. For the most part, the court system is still going to try to find a way for you to have a relationship with your kids. It may complicate it. You might be in a situation to where now, instead of having every other weekend, you get an hour on Saturday at a supervised visitation center to where you get to see your child, but you have to potentially pay someone to watch you, to evaluate. I mean, that's not really what they're saying they're doing, but that's kind of what's happening, to be able to see your kid. You have to take control of your situation. I mean, if you're getting this video, whatever, or this message, whatever state or whatever phase of this you're in, make a decision that you understand, or, make the awareness, I guess, that you understand what you're dealing with, then make the decision to adjust how you're dealing with things. Hybrid no contact, minimize contact with your ex. If it's been order of protection, follow that order of protection. If they're not following it, if they're showing up where you are, doing something like that, typically order of protections apply to both people. Just because, you have a keep away order doesn't mean that your ex can come stand next to you. Just keep that in mind. Check with your attorney if you need more information. The thing is whatever you can do to jump through those flaming hoops with the court to be able to spend time with your kids, that's what you need to do. And most of the time, what I've seen for a lot of people over the course of the three and a half years that I've been doing this channel, talked to a lot of guys and some women who have not seen their kids for hundreds of days, a year. And as long as you don't make any mistakes in that period of time, and that's what that is. It's designed, that whole situation is designed to push you to your breaking point, to where you either, you make a decision, you do something that validates everything. It's like, they launch the bomb, you do something, and it blows you up. That's not really the best way to say it, but maybe that makes sense. That's the first thing. The second thing is to push you to your breaking point, to where you give up, to where you go, oh my God, I just want to see my kids, so I'll agree to 1 day a month just to get this over with so I can see my child. That's part of what this other thing is they're trying to push you to put them in a better position for negotiation to get what they want. Remember, for the most part, you have a long time to go on this. My situation, my kids were a little bit older, but it's still, you're talking about 12 years for this to go. That's a long time. You don't want to make a decision that you're living with for the next 10 to 12 years, or 15 years, or 16 years, depending on how young your kids are, that you're going to regret. So keep that in mind. It's tough. I think sometimes whenever your children are younger, this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt on this, but I think if they're younger, 2 or 3 years old, you have more time to play out this stupid family court scenario, finally get 50-50, and then you can start rebuilding your relationship with your child. As they get older, it's a little bit tougher because the other parent is able to do the parental alienation. They're able to destroy the view of what you were to your child. So by the time you get to the point to where you are having time, they're so turned that you just can't. It's almost impossible. There's always ways to break through, but it makes it a lot harder. So I guess what I'm saying is, if your kids are really young, take a deep breath and realize that in a lot of ways you're in a better situation, because you'll be able to get through this stupidness and then start having a relationship with them. And then the good part about it is if you follow all this information, you start implementing these techniques. Not that I'm really talking about techniques, but techniques I talk about in my other videos. I'll leave a card up above to my main playlist on that, my mindset playlist. Then whenever you start interacting with them, you're not making extra mistakes. Like, see, oftentimes what happens is that, you finally get to see your kid. You're so stressed. You want to communicate with them so badly, and you want to tell them what's going on, that you end up undermining yourself. right? So it's the main thing. It's really tough is what I was going to say, but the main thing is to realize this is a long-term thing. If you've watched a lot of my other videos, you know I talk about this a lot in the terms of battles and wars, or war, right? There's all these little battles, but the war is what you're really looking at. You're not looking for the quick victory today. You're looking at the victory 3 to 5 years from now. 3 to 5 years, whenever you've been able to mitigate what your ex is doing, been able to mitigate the damage they're doing to your relationship with your child, and you're able to basically move past that. It's important to remember that right now, the pain you're feeling right now, whatever you're dealing with, I don't care if you have an order protection, you've lost everything, you're living in your car, it all sucks, but it's just right now. Right? But it's really tough. I know that because, when I was looking at my situation, when I was living in that moment, it was catastrophic. I was this far from having to, I was going to live in my car, but I was planning on sleeping under my desk at work. And I guess if they caught me at that, then I probably would have started trying to stay in my car. But a lot of people have those scenarios, and then they muscle through it, and then they're able to rebuild their lives. It's in that moment, the decisions that you make in that moment when things look the darkest, that are really going to determine the direction of the rest of your life. If you hunker down and you're able to persevere through that, which I know it's incredibly difficult, then you're setting yourself up for success farther on down the road, if that makes sense. The hard part as I'm saying this is I know, because I can remember how I felt when I was going through this. I felt that it wasn't ever going to happen. I felt that I was going to basically be in this nightmare, which technically I have been, but it's like the key is that you kind of rebaseline your life, you reevaluate everything, you reprioritize what's really important, and things that used to be important to you before aren't anymore, and it fundamentally changes your life. And then it's like, I've often talked about that I'm still dealing with the same stupid shenanigans that have always been there. The same crap. It's just I don't play the game anymore. And I've gotten myself into a state to where I have the time I have with my kids and I'm able to do the best I can. Now, does that mean it's the greatest thing in the world? No. Yeah, there's still problems, there's still issues, but it's not that bad. And the negative effect of everything the ex has done is mitigated. And and I'm lucky that I still have my job and I'm still basically stable. But to be perfectly honest, I've even seen videos of I'll use Dr. Carlos. I've never had a chance to talk with him, but I've seen some of his story. The guy went from being a pediatrician to losing everything, to being on disability, to having to go to jail for past due arrearages and child support and alimony. You would take somebody like that who had everything, big house, good family, bunch of kids. His kids, he's got 4 kids. 2 kids won't even talk to him. He still has 2 younger kids. And, his life has been completely ripped upside down, but he's still been able to, basically he's rebaselined his life. He's reevaluated it. He's reprioritized everything, and he's rebuilding his life. And I think that's the thing. You can't look at what's immediately happening to you thinking, what the person has done to you, and because it is all somebody being basically evil, but you can control whether you give up, if you persevere. I know this isn't easy. I'll tell you, there were times where I thought I had reached my breaking point. I just want to hit this message because it's critically important, and it's critically important in the early parts of this because you're so freaking devastated with what you're dealing with. So I hope that's helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts on my thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you know somebody who's struggling with this, share this with them. It might be able to help them. And I will chat with you on the next video. Take care. Bye.